Welcome back to the Journalistic Revolution. My name is Matthew Dalton.
And I'm Robert Wasmund. One of the things that we want to talk about today is division that we see inside the movement. Now, I'm not talking about having different opinions or differing views on what to do or how to do it. What I'm talking about is straight up attacks on one another as far as if they really are a part of the movement or not, or if they hurt the movement or not. The reason I want to address this is because I think that we can all move towards freedom without attacking each other because our enemy is big enough.
What I'm seeing specifically just on my end is a lot of bickering. And to tell you the truth, it's kind of disappointing.
And semantics.
And semantics. As soon as the election was over and Ron Paul was officially out of it, everybody just kind of lost focus. We got the anarcho-capitalism, whatever those...
Anarcho-capitalists.
Anarcho-capitalists arguing that anybody who does not think like them doesn't exist, and you shouldn't even use words like movement because it's
collectivist.
Collectivist. You know what? Who cares? If we're all moving towards freedom and liberty, does it really matter what point we get to as long as we move forward towards that goal? We can work on what level of freedom and liberty, whether it's minarchist, anarcho-capitalist, or whatever else in between. We can work on that later. Let's work on ourselves.
Don't we all agree that we have a huge problem with the lack of freedom in this country? I mean, everyone from anarcho-capitalists to anarchists to minarchists to libertarian, big L, libertarian, small l, or even conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones, right? They all agree that we're losing our liberty. We're losing our freedom. And they're all working in their own way to achieve it back. Now, to say that any one of those people aren't doing their part or aren't doing enough or are doing too much is just simply ridiculous.
Or don't belong.
Or don't belong.
Which is the one thing that upsets me the most, because that is the one thing that motivated us and united us was Ron Paul. What do you think he spent decades fighting for?
Well, it's not only that. I mean, look, when the movement was in full force for Ron Paul, let's just focus on his presidential bid, right? When the movement was in full force for his presidential bid, were we sitting in the crowd going, hey, is that guy over there anarcho-capitalist or is he a minarchist? I don't want to be associated with those fucking minarchists.
The other point I'd like to make is we're not moving forward. Obama, but we're not as a movement, whatever you want to call it.
We're not progressing. We're not being productive.
But guess who is progressing? The government, the federal government, the same people we're supposed to be fighting against, not with each other. They don't care what we're doing anymore because we stopped paying attention to them. And that's exactly what they wanted.
And love or hate Alex Jones, right? But if you're bickering amongst yourselves if he should have been there or not, or if he's a part of the movement or not, you have fallen into the trap Piers Morgan set for you. Mm-hmm. He set that trap. He knew Alex Jones would get negative feedback. Why? Because he's Alex Jones. He gets mad. That's what he does. I don't hate the man for it. That's, I'm not going to sit here on my YouTube channel screaming and getting my face red and calling in for the bashing of the rocks of the statists, And to all of you who are yelling that Alex Jones shouldn't be involved in the movement, remember this. Ron Paul has been on Alex Jones' show over 40 times in the last 20 years. That's twice a year. So, I mean, if Ron Paul thinks Alex Jones is good enough to go on, at least as far as spreading the message of liberty,
because that's the ultimate goal.
Then why are we hating him for it? I mean, did he lose his temper? Yeah. Did he look like a fool? Yeah. But did he make me look like a fool? Absolutely not.
I'm going to make one more point, and I hope this rings true because we all saw it happen in front of our eyes. If this division continues on its present course and keeps progressing in a divisionist manner, where we don't stand together and fight together, the liberty movement will become nothing more than a punchline like the Tea Party has become.
Or the Occupy movement. It will become that movement that once was. And then we're back to no longer working as a collective and pushing forward and grouping more people together on the idea of individual liberties and freedom. We'll be working just as individuals with smaller groups and everybody pointing fingers on who caused the division in the first place.
And let me cover that whole collectivist thinking problem. Well, that's collectivist thinking. Well, if people are working as a collective with integrity for the greater good in a movement that means something, can you really put a negative connotation on that?
Look, I am against collectivism. I really am. But to argue semantics with me every time I post an article or post a comment on Facebook or Twitter that's collectivist language, who's we, who's they, you know exactly who I'm talking about when I say we, the people who want more freedom, they, those who don't want more freedom. Stop trying to play these games of semantics with me, okay? It's very simple. When you're trying to awaken the masses, okay, and they're stuck, like Plato said, you know, watching the shadows on the wall. When they're stuck in that, you can't just turn on the lights and expect them to accept it. You have to gradually pull them into the light, like most of us were, okay? And as you gradually pull them into the light, they will let go of those old beliefs, those old shadows. But until then, you have to work with what they know. And they are collectivists. They are statists. But you got to show them how that's leading towards the very problems which they're arguing against. Attacking an extreme with an extreme isn't going to win anybody over. And you have to attack the logic. And you're going to win people over. Not all of them. And you'll probably beat your head against some walls like Piers Morgan, who aren't going to budge on the matter, no matter how much sense you make. But you'll win people who are listening over. If you just go, you're a statist, you collectivist, you don't know what you're talking about, you're stupid, then who are you going to win over? You're just charging your own base, and you're no better than Republicans or Democrats.
That doesn't promote liberty and freedom. That promotes ignorance.
It promotes
division.
And that's the problem. And some people are I've seen argue as well, division can be a good thing because it you get rid of what's holding you back and you gain more of what is pulling you forward. Okay. I can understand that if you're running for political office, but why would you tell someone that they're not allowed to hold a sign in support of your candidate just because they're a conspiracy theorist or they're still somewhat statist, like they're young inside the liberty movement?
Or take the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm a minarchist, so anarcho-capitalists don't hold a sign in support for me.
Yeah, they can't because, I'm a minarchist. Or Ron Paul supporters can't support Rand Paul because Rand Paul's not like his father. The hell, what? I'm not like my father. Lucky's not like his father, and I'm sure you're little to nothing like your father and or mother. It doesn't make any sense. We're starting to become the very thing we fought against, guys.
Yeah.
We're elitists. We're separatists, we're divisionists, and we're saying it's our way or no way.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to see the people who are still in the Republican Party trying to push for liberty in there to unite with the libertarians who are running on third-party tickets, because their message and their goal is the same. And libertarians should unite with the anarcho-capitalists and the minarchists because our goal is the same. And I would like to see the conspiracy theorists calm down a little and help everybody else in that movement. And just because someone works with inside a system does not make them a part of that system. Can it change them? Yeah. Can the system stay exactly the same and you not have any effect on it? Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not going to get in the way of someone who thinks that they can do something, because the only people in the world that change it are those who are crazy enough to think they can. And if you think you can change the system from the inside, please, for the love of God, try.
Conspiracy theories hold their place within the movement. They do, because they help expose lies. They help bring about truth. There's no doubt about that. But they have their place, and some of them aren't really needed in order to push the movement forward for liberty and freedom. They're not. But in sitting back, grabbing a beer with your buddies, they're fun to talk about. Sorry, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy talking about conspiracy theories.
We did it at Paul Fest. One night we stayed up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning talking about it.
Whitney!
With fellow libertarians. Now, if I'm going to talk to a group of statists or liberals, and I'm going to try and push the message of liberty and freedom, do you think that they're going to jump on board because I start talking about the inconsistencies of 9/11? How's that pushing forward the liberty movement? How's that pushing forward the talk about freedom and how freedom is popular and what we need to do to obtain that goal. I would like to see us go back to the principles we had when we had a man to jump behind, because we don't have that man anymore. He's still doing things, but he's not running for president. Is that what we really need?
A leader?
A leader? Isn't that the argument again of the anarcho-capitalist? If you get a leader, you're going to get a master, and that's what you deserve.
And thank you for watching the Journalistic Revolution. We'll have more videos coming out here soon. And make sure that you give a heads up to Deadbeats for doing our theme song. And what is the girls?
Oh, and we're going to work together to try and get, she offered to come on our show. We're not sure if it's going to be by Skype or in person. But Tatiana Moroz.
Yep. Tatiana, go ahead and say it.
Hi, this is Tatiana Moroz, and you're listening to Journalistic Revolution.
Thank you very much. Tune in for the next episode of the Journalistic Revolution, guys.
I gotta get myself out of this town, and I don't know where I'm gonna be found. This time's for sure. I gotta get up, get out, and get down. This I know. I'm sick of waiting lately, laying around.